Hi, I wanted to talk you through the qualitative research summary and give you an idea of what I'm looking for. We've talked a little bit about the different approaches. So you are going to choose an approach that you feel would best suit your topic. You're going to choose 3 approaches, and you're going to kind of funnel some things through that approach to see what that study would look like. So let's first look at the rubric. So in the rubric, with each one of the approaches, I want you to define it and describe it in general, but you need at least five credible sources, even more than that if possible. Now your credible sources need to be something other than Creswell. You can use Creswell for one, but you need to find who the main people for this type of approach, who they are and what they have to say. So look for those credible sources. Then I want you to tell me the description of your study through the approach. What is it going to look like? Then you're going to write your purpose statement and give me some explanation as to why you worded it this way. So each one of the purpose statements could be worded a little differently based upon the approach that you are using. Now you're going to write your research questions, again, through that approach, giving some justification for why you worded them that way. So go back to that article that has the various approaches. That will help you in forming your research questions and your purpose. Your theoretical perspective could be the same for all 3 studies, because sometimes we're looking through the same lens just in a different way that we want to find out about the study. And so as long as it makes sense, I'm okay with the theoretical perspective being the same for all 3. Your participant selection needs a description and why you are choosing those participants. Be sure to give your literature citations backing up why you are choosing the participants for that particular approach. Next, you're going to describe your data collection methods and again, justify that, giving citations. Again, you should not rely on Creswell. You should rely on who the major researchers are according to the approach that you choose. Same with the data analysis. How are you going to analyze the data? So Patton might be a really good reference here for you to find some good credible sources on data analysis. Now your credibility and trustworthiness are basically how you're going to ensure that your study can be looked upon as being credible. So you are going to put things in like member checks, peer reviewers, triangulation of data, things like that we will have studied during the semester in the various dissertations that will show that your study is also credible. Then you are going to explain the role of the researcher based upon the approach that you choose and justify that. Then I'm looking for a very well-written paper with no errors, academic language being strong, and the organizational setup of the paper so that it's easy to follow. So that's the rubric in general. So now let's look at what a sample paper might look like. Now I'm not going to show you all 3 approaches, but I took some sample papers from past semesters and I'm letting you look at that. So here is a sample of just the introduction. So this person wrote that they are going to examine a particular topic through 3 different qualitative research approaches and what the focus would be. And then given some general explanation here with some citations to back that up. So you can pause the video and you can read the introduction. This wasn't the full introduction, but it was a piece of it. Moving forward then, in this particular study, so this person, and notice the difference in the style. So the person before us wrote in completely narrative style. This person did in a narrative style, but also kind of in a table. Either one is fine with me as long as it makes sense and flows. So the first approach that this person chose was a narrative approach. Now she did use one reference of Cresswell here, but then she began to break out from that, and that's what I want to see. So she's defining and describing the approach in general. What is a narrative approach? Then the purpose of a person's study. This one was the narrative approach. It's a different study than what you read before because this is a mixture of different people's papers. But the purpose of the study, backing it up, why they're doing the narrative approach through this particular study. And then research questions. Then the theoretical perspective. Notice that it's backed up thoroughly with citations on why that perspective would be applicable to this particular topic. Now, just as I said before, you could possibly have the same theoretical perspective for all three approaches as long as it makes sense. Then the participant selection. So why? So it needs to be defended. Again, Cresswell can be a citation, but don't just rely on Cresswell. Talk about your participant selection. Patton will be a great book to refer to for this. In each data collection section, you are going to describe how you collect the data that you are going to analyze. So make sure you have that well supported by multiple researchers. Again, you may use Cresswell as one, but that cannot be the thing that you completely stand on. Remember, your data collection needs to be funneled through your approach, so you want to make sure that those pieces of data are considered justified through that particular approach. Next, you will talk about how you will analyze the data. Again, really backing it up through some great research. Patton will be a great source for you on this because he does talk about the various researchers that discuss data analysis. So again, make sure it's appropriate through that particular approach. Then credibility and trustworthiness. What does it look like in this study? Are you going to triangulate your data? Are you going to have member checks? Are you going to have a peer reviewer? What kind of things will you employ in order to make sure your study is credible? Then I need to know that you know the role of the researcher through this particular approach because they do vary for the approaches. I hope that that helps you to envision what the assignment might look like. So let me just tell you that in the past semester, I have found that about 4 to 5 pages on each approach is probably appropriate. That's what most students turned in. It needs to be well organized, so follow that approach completely through the rubric. Then start a different approach and follow it completely through the rubric. Then start the final approach and follow it completely through the rubric. And everything needs to be well cited. Again, I hope this helps you to better understand the assignment, and we will talk about it in class.